introduction to one of my favorite people on earth, Mr. Stephen Oliver, who is with the Advisor Marketing Podcast. Now, Stephen is a true maverick, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Not only in our business, but I have to tell you, his clients universally love him, and they grow at rates that they wouldn't believe it's possible. Now, on this podcast, in each episode, Stephen is joined by various members of his team or special guests to share insider secrets to rapid growth and high net profits in your financial advisory practice. So I just want you to know you're in for a wild ride, new information, and a lot of exciting new future because of Stephen Oliver. Hi, everybody. It is Lee Milteer, and welcome to Millionaire Smarts Coaching Program for Profit and Productivity. This is Lee Milteer, and our program is called Get Out of Your Own Way. Our goal is to discuss some of the top common self-defeating behaviors in business that are costing you time, profits, and peace of mind. Our first objective is to actually get out of denial that these self-defeating behaviors exist and to start acknowledging some of those things and face them and create an action plan mentally, physically, emotionally, and professionally so you can overcome them because they are what is between you and what you want. Now, before I go into strategies, let me suggest you get a pen and paper because we're going to go very fast. I'm going to remind you of a lot of things that you already know about yourself, but it's not fun to accept that you have these bad habits. So you got to check in with yourself, really assess how you are working. And by doing that, you're actually going to allow yourself to be aware of the unconscious behaviors that you're engaging in that are very self-defeating behaviors. In fact, not only can they destroy and ruin your potential, but most of all, they waste your time, your resources, which include people, money, effort, and opportunities when you are working against yourself by sabotaging your goals and objectives professionally and personally with your thoughts, mindset, behaviors, simply because they have become your new norm, your normal habits, and you're not paying attention to the damage and the chaos that you have created in your world in acting on these bad behaviors. Now, you can't commit to a success routine and get out of your own way if you do not also, at the very same time, commit to avoiding the things that get in your way and sabotage your effort, thus setting yourself up for failure in the long run. So think about this. In wealth building and financial independence, the greatest principle is not to lose money, not to have to start all over again, to protect your capital, and yet you can't squander it or you can't suppress it or hoard it either. Now, this is the same concept. Protect yourself from doing, thinking, being around people or influencers that are distracting you from your long-term priorities, or tolerating things or people that are detrimental to your desired outcomes. This is as important, if not more important, than anything else, including doing everything right with good habits or behaviors. So, all your good behaviors won't fix or save you from the wrongs or the self-defeating behaviors that can ruin you and your profits. Small or big, it all matters. Tiny variables add up when you want to be your best and achieve your greatest ambitions. I want you to remember this term, inner opposition. Inner opposition in the form of discouraging thoughts, beliefs, learned bad habits. Now let's get real here. How well are you handling these internal and external distractions? Will determine how quickly you release the negatives in your life and how fast you manifest the good in your life. It's a matter of discernment and how much you are willing to do the inner work to reap the external rewards. Now, there are lots of common self-defeating behaviors in business. We're going to just touch base on the most common ones. You should have pen and around. Note the ones that you're guilty of so you can pay some attention to those. And one of the first self-defeating behaviors is procrastination. Now, if you're always late on completing things, think about it. People will stop relying on you and soon they start resenting you. And you will stop believing in yourself and your own abilities. Procrastination is about fear that you're not going to do it perfect. The next one is getting involved with the wrong people. And this is a huge problem today because there are people pretending to be things they're not. And there are bad people in the world. If you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, you will be the one who has to clean up the mess. Once you have seen people's true colors, would you please believe them and do the right thing for yourself and your company? Remove and distance yourself. Number 3, playing it safe. The world is in a rapid state of massive change. Doing the same thing over and over again and accepting it to be good enough may not turn out to be so safe after all. Let's face it, we're in a new decade. Old is out, new is in. Number 4, focusing on what others are doing wrong. This is a very demotivating habit. You're taking your energy on focusing on what the other people are doing wrong, only keeps you focused on what you should be doing. Put your binders on, run your own race. You can only control you. What other people do, unless you sign their paycheck, is really out of your control. Number 5, not learning from your mistakes. This is really big in our world. Successful people don't make fewer mistakes than unsuccessful people, but here it is. They repeat fewer mistakes. This problem often happens when we are in a state of sheer exhaustion. We see the red flags, but we have no bandwidth to change. Number 6, having unrealistic expectations. When you confuse what is reasonable with what is realistic, you might set yourself up for failure. So let me repeat that. When you confuse what is unrealistic with reasonable, you're going to set yourself up for failure. Number 7, trying to take care of everybody. Let's face it, you can't take care of everybody and do a decent job. And attempting to take care of everybody, nobody, including yourself, is satisfied. Number 8, being envious of others. Now, I think of your team. Teamwork is often ruined when team members envy each other to the extent that they root against each other. This happens in companies all the time. So you got to ask yourself who on your team is sabotaging others. And ask yourself, who are you envious of? Because it certainly clouds your mind. Number 9, letting fear run your life. Whenever we're paralyzed by rapid technology advances or refusing to get on board with new marketing advances, new systems, and let's face it, the world has changed. It's not going to go back to the fax machine. It's not going to go back to old things. When you feel a little out of control for fear of the future, fear, remember, means fantasized experiences appearing real. You're making it up. It's your imagination. So don't let fear run your life. We're going to talk about that more in our session today. Number 10, dismissing new opportunities, sources of information, new perspectives before you have given them the time and attention to truly evaluate them. That's really a fear of the future. Try to have an open mind. Be curious and open-minded. Assess their value, whether they apply to you where you are now or not. Face it, some of the new will work and some will not. But explore and evaluate in order to expand your possibilities. Not having an open mind always will sabotage your long-term success. Now, I covered these very quickly because what we're going to talk about today is self-defeating behaviors. And a lot of these come actually from a bad habit of negative thinking, which you're often not conscious of. We certainly have heard how important it is to be positive, but on an average day, it's proven that over 80% of our thoughts tend to be negative. So can you imagine what they are on a really bad day? Now, I tell you that because, and write this down, it's very important, we are self-fulfilling prophecies. Whatever we think about ourselves tends to come true in some way due to the fact that we are run 90% of the time by our subconscious mind. When we have negative thoughts about ourselves, we already put up barriers and allow those negative thoughts to overcome us, thus creating negative behaviors and habits, and we get in our way. And that certainly sabotages our waistlines, our profit lines, and our long-term goals, not to count off or ruining our mindset of the possibilities of recognizing opportunities in the future. So negative thoughts are actually creating references in your brain that you're not able to do what you want in life. You're not able to succeed in the goals that you want. I know some people overcompensate and act like they're not insecure, but each and every one of us deep down has those little fears and doubts about ourselves. So I use a little jet eye trick I've learned that works like a charm for me. So from now on, if you feel a little insecurities, notice it. Don't just shove it down. Notice it. I like to take a walk in nature and have a little conversation with it and realize that you can track your feelings by this small investigating questioning on who and what within you gave you these insecurities. What happened to make you feel this insecure? Simply taking the time to acknowledge that I'm feeling a bit insecure or some type of fear, and then ask myself who in my past or what in my past helped me create these feelings. Now, I often realize it was a fear someone in my family had, and that I actually learned that fear. I suggest again, the next time you're feeling inadequate, simply write it out or talk to yourself, have this little conversation, and ask why you feel this way and what is it you're really afraid of. Also think about negative expectations. We often don't realize it, but when we have negative thinking, we're actually expecting ourselves to fail before we get started. It's very hard to be successful. Go for new goals, new dreams, put yourself out there, take risks if you have these nagging negative thoughts in your head. It's important that you take charge of the caliber of information that goes in your head every single day. You have to be vigilant of that. Also, it allows you, when you take charge of the caliber of information in your head, to prepare yourself against those moments of weakness, of feeling insecure. One of the greatest causes of the ills of our society and entrepreneurs and self-employed people today is the massive 24/7 exposure to too much negative news. Now, I am sure this is true for you, but right now in our life, I have never seen such polarizing messages, hate, division, abuse, and over time, this has a huge effect on your inner well-being. After a while, your enthusiasm starts to wane. Your belief in what's possible is affected. All this negativity has such a detrimental long-term effect on your outlook and productivity. And the big thing, your ambition. Polluting and distracting you from your personal and business goals is not the way to start your day by exposing yourself to the very well orchestrated control messages of gloom and doom. Now, I don't think average people are strong enough to be free thinkers, but we are. And they have become the products of this mass persuasion and brainwashing. We have to refuse that. Let this be a wake-up call and a reminder that to not allow any sources other than yourself to deliberately install thoughts and fears in your brain that are going to go on and turn into beliefs with repetition. Now, of course, in the media, I know there are some of you in professions that really have to know what's going on, particularly about the economy. You can't stick your head in the sand. However, what I am saying is have clear boundaries, very clear boundaries. Be vigilant, on guard, and aware of the caliber of information that you allow in your mind and who you allow to influence you. See, a huge self-defeating behavior is watching the news like when you eat. A lot of people do this, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I will also remind you that behavioral experts all agree that exposing news to your children is really one of the main causes of anxiety disorders for them. I would also say it's a major anxiety disorder for us. So please keep in mind that watching any kind of negative information while you're eating, your subconscious is simply recording that information. So I have a thought for you. Instead of watching the news, let's have a different solution. Why not get your loved ones together and play a game while you eat? It's called What Good Happened Today? What good happened today? See, think about it. Most people go home at night and literally have a contest with their loved ones on who had the worst day. This is a very bad precedent to set, particularly with your children and yourself, because of the accumulation of the negative news and negative information always affects you. It gives you a low expectation of success in the future, prosperity, or that your dreams can even come true. It lowers your energy, it makes you depressed, it puts you in a bad mood, it ruins your life. Be sure that you never watch news also before you go to sleep at night. So think about this. When you take in a lot of negative information at night before you go to sleep, your subconscious now is holding that information and it stews over it all night. You might not sleep very well. You wake up the next day feeling kind of, a little down and dulled. And is this all there is to life? You kind of feel yucky and don't feel good, and you don't understand why you don't feel good. Well, it's because you've allowed this poison in your mind at night. So I have a serious money-making and success-producing strategy for you to enact on each night before you go to sleep. First, why don't you read something inspiring or watch something that's funny before you go to sleep at night if you're watching TV. And the other thing I want you to do is write on a Post-it note, and I want you to put this next to the light switch next to your bed, the following message. What job do you want your subconscious to work on tonight while you are asleep to assist you in your own day tomorrow? Now, my good friend Dan Kennedy, who is a prolific writer, and I talk about this all the time on how we have a speech to do tomorrow, or we're writing a blog, or we're writing a book, and we ask our subconscious to actually prompt us and help us with that writing. So if you have a negotiation the next day, or you have something difficult where you have to confront someone, think about how you could now just write that. I am asking, it's Lee Milteer, and I'm delighted to interrupt you today and let you know that I've been working with Stephen Oliver for 10 or 15 years now. He's a great guy. I love all the research that he does. And I just wanted to let you know that if you're enjoying the content on this podcast, then you really want to make time to visit advisorwealthmastery.com. And why should you do that? Well, because you're going to receive 2 of his great books and actually one of mine called Success is an Inside Job. You'll also get a lot of absolutely free material on growing your practice through effective marketing. So again, take the time to go to advisorwealthmastery.com. My subconscious to work on tonight, writing this article for something tomorrow. When you wake up in the morning, what happens is that you're primed to do the work. Your subconscious will now lead you to the right article or book or person to get the things that you need and help you get that done much faster. It is a fabulous unbelievable jet eye trick, as we jokingly call it. And by actually doing something like that, you become more conscious of what you're allowing into your subconscious mind. I'm also proposing a different strategy of actually choosing the information that goes in your brain. So it sets you up for a rewarding, productive day in the morning. And by the way, new habits can be created by simply making small adjustments each day towards what you want in life and get out of the routines you have allowed yourself to develop. Inch by inch. We're not trying to go miles every day. Just inch by inch, you're getting better. The other suggestion that would help you tremendously is, how about getting up 30 to 60 minutes earlier than you have before, which means you also go to bed 30 to 60 minutes earlier to accommodate these new success rituals. Now, get your morning beverage, and instead of polluting yourself with the old habits of reading or watching or listening to the news in the morning, I want you to actively interrupt that old unproductive pattern. So what I'm going to share with you is what I call the Peak Performance Priority Planner. And you can jot this down, but the first thing you want to ask yourself in the morning is, what is your energy level today from 1 to 10? It's very important to assess your available energy management, because that's really our power as self-employed entrepreneurs. If I realize that I'm a 2 that day, that is not the day for me to plan certain things to do. There are certain days I need to be at a solid, 7, 8, 9, or 10 to be able to do that with my energy management. So at least acknowledge where you are. Now, there are days I might feel like a 2, but I have a presentation that day. I know how to work myself up to a 10. And I'm sure you do too, but I don't like to not pay attention to what my natural energy management is. So the next thing in your peak performance priority planner mindset in the morning is write a morning reflection. So there's 2 things I write about: yesterday's progresses and wins. I really want to make sure that I acknowledge what progress I made on things and what wins I have. It gives me enthusiasm. It makes me feel good. And then I write 3 things that I'm very grateful for, because it gets me in a state of mind of gratitude, which always creates more success. Then after doing those things, I decide on only 3 priorities that are the most important things to get done for the day. I know I'll have a lot more than that, but there are 3 major priorities that are going to focus my day. Now, when you do this, there's no guessing what you're going to do, since you've given your brain clear instructions and it will follow them. After you decide on your 3 priorities, start to get very specific on exactly what your action plan is. So your action plan is what you will actually accomplish today. So I list those as a number of things. First is a blueprint: action, learning, exercise, relaxation, and think time. So let me just talk about those briefly. So the blueprint of the day: I am going to create a plan for my day. I'm going to determine what my real priorities are for me, my company, and my staff. I do this for my staff also: appointments and projects. The next is action. I am going to actually figure out what time slots is to do those most important activities that move me towards my goals. For example, I don't take calls. I write in the mornings. I do all my creative work in the mornings. I will return calls in the afternoon. The next one is learning. I always build into my day reading, working with mentors, educational courses, something that I am learning a certain amount every single day. The next one is exercise. The body follows the mind. If you really want to be successful in life, you have to take care of your body. Re-energize your body for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day and write down what you will do. Maybe it's walking, rebounding, whatever it is, do something. And then relaxation. Now, in my success plan, I have written my relaxation, because I have to eliminate daily stress. I meditate at least 15 to 20 minutes a day. I have to build in personal time for me. I have to figure out when I'm going to have some hobbies and fun. If I don't put this in my schedule, it will not happen. And the next and last is my think time. See, most of us are reactive to life. We're not acting. You have to think every single day. Time to reflect on the day, review your goals, visualize, develop new ideas. Now, once you have thought out your daily planning ritual, your brain is not confused about what to do and how to do it. You're not starting the day with, what the hell am I doing now? What should be next? I'm going to put out fires. I'm reacting to life. See, no shiny objects can get in because your schedule is full and you've had boundaries on your schedule. Now, this formula has changed many of my personal coaching clients' life with literally more peace of mind, the ability to say no to things that don't match with their plan of the day or future, because there's no room for other people's agendas, since you have given yourself a blueprint to operate from and the permission to literally take charge of your own life energy. So I believe that if you would enact on this, you will see an immense amount of enthusiasm, more profits, and a lot happier person. The next thing I do after creating that is, as I said, I have read time. I use the next time to read something that inspires me, makes me feel good, makes me feel motivated, stimulated, and excited about the day. I try to pick different things with different authors on a regular basis. So I've offered you an alternative to some of your old habits. So instead of partaking in the dreadful, depressing, and a lot of fake news, you get to honor yourself and your priorities so that you will literally amaze yourself with the precision. You will amaze yourself with the precision. We're going to take two here. Instead of partaking in the dreadful, depressing, and lots of fake news, you'll get to honor yourself and your priorities, and you will literally amaze yourself with the precision of getting things done. All because you have not confused or depressed your brain from the outside insanity. You have 1,440 minutes every day. You get to choose exactly how you'll program your life. We're not victims, in spite of what the news says all the time. I think being a victim is a choice. Sadly, we're living in a world where being a victim is some people's badge of honor. They want others to take care of them. They don't want to be 100% responsible for their own choices in life. The great news here at Millionaire Smarts Coaching is we are not those people. We are the creators, the providers of the world. So I've given you a new ritual in the morning. So you've got to make the choice to do something very proactive instead of being reactive to reality. And one of the ways you can do that is to control your self-talk. Think about it. Get up in the morning, you set the tone for the day, you've just made a declaration. Today is going to be a great day because I'm going to choose to see the good. I'm going to choose to see the opportunities in the world. I'm going to choose to be a contributor to life. I'm going to choose to see how my service is important. So control how you think, because we are self-fulfilling prophecies. Feed yourself on a regular basis with positive information, just like you give your body vitamins every day. You also need to feed your mind every day with the data and information to be able to accomplish your own goals and aspirations. So, of course, that's the caliber of information you put in your mind. And it is the 6 inches between your ears. Your mental and emotional attitude, that is the only thing that truly holds you back from where you are now to where you want to be. The greatest thing you can do right now is look for the good in your life, and then make sure you talk about what is good and appreciate, have gratitude, and your bad luck will fade away. And more positive events and opportunities literally will come your way because you are literally vibrating differently. Like attracts like. Don't take my word for this. Try it for 30 days and see this amazing transformation of people and events. Now, I'm going to share with you as a one-on-one business coach. People love to confess to me many things. And one of the things they confess is they tell me about the self-defeating behavior of holding on to grudges. Now, let's think about this. The only person you ever really hurt when you hold on to a grudge is yourself. You color the world dark. You stew and focus in on how that person did you wrong. Hey, we're living in a society of revenge. Look at TV shows and movies about people who have been hurt, and their entire motive in life is to somehow make things even by getting revenge. A mild form of revenge is holding on to anger and a grudge. I'm embarrassed to say this, but we all do it. It's a matter of giving ourselves permission to stop holding on to grudges. You think about it. If our whole life is really, as an entrepreneur, to manage our energy, it takes a lot of energy to spend your time thinking about grudges. And if you only have so much energy each day, if you think of your energy as a big pie chart, and that you're spending a great part of your day focused in on what vendor did you wrong, or employee, or that family member or neighbor. And let's face it, the list is endless who has done us wrong, and we all have one. You wouldn't be human if you hadn't experienced this in life. So give up the grudges. Just give it up. Another unspoken self-defeating behavior is being totally preoccupied by the past in some way. Now, these negative thoughts are just like vampires sucking up your day because you're preoccupied by them, and it's coloring your perception of the future. It's making you a grumpy old person who's not open to see new opportunities in, life. Because let's face it, life is always transforming and changing. There are opportunities. There are opportunities to see new markets, find hidden centers of profit in your own business. If you were present in the now, right now. So how about focusing your energy in the now? And remember, the past is a locked door. The next way we get into our own way is being angry. And that ties in with grudges. Just think about it. There are a lot of people in our world that are just angry about everything. If you watch TV, you will see it. And if you have a business, you will see it. These people are easily insulted. Their feelings get hurt easily. They're filled with rage all the time. They're like little children having tantrums. And yes, let's face it, we're human, we get angry, but holding on to anger has no positive benefit to us. It depletes our health, our ability to see solutions in challenging situations. It narrows our field of vision of what's possible. It shuts us down from taking risk of trying new things. And really where I'm going here is most of us will not admit as entrepreneurs that a lot of our anger is towards ourselves. The number of us as entrepreneurs who beat ourselves up all the time, this is something else people tell me in coaching sessions. So I'll give you an example. A lot of parents are listening to this, and every night before they go to bed, they're beating themselves up for not being perfect parents. Or the number of business people who beat themselves up about a missed opportunity or the way we didn't handle things perfectly. Hey, no one has ever been perfect. No perfect marriages, children, businesses, jobs, homes, neighborhoods, neighbors, family. And it's just this endless cycle of when you're angry at yourself, there's just no solution here but to start looking looking at whatever it is that you haven't done to perfection. There is nothing perfect. You today have to start realizing when you are disappointed and angry at yourself that that is a very big way of getting in your way for the future. So today, give yourself permission not to be perfect, and tomorrow's a new day. So when you wake up in the morning, think of it. It's a renewal time, time to start again. Sometimes when I've done something wrong, and that's pretty often, and we all make missteps. Think of that word, misstep. It's a great word for having mistakes because we always in life are making missteps. So think about this. Say to yourself, I forgive myself for that mistake. I've learned a lesson. I'm going to make a conscious, clear effort right now to rectify the situation. The other thing you want to be aware of that's very self-destructive is in a blaming mood. I like that old saying, when you're pointing your finger at someone else, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. When we constantly blame others, we're forgetting that we participate in our own reality, that we're part of the solution or we're part of the problem. I've come to give myself peace with the fact that there are people who literally, as we've talked about before, defy gravity, that no matter how nice I am, great service I offer them, how much I try to come from the good, there are going to be people who are impossible to please. They may be filled with hatred and anger and deliberately trying to hurt others because, on some way, it makes them feel better about themselves and superior. I will say that being a victim is without doubt one of the worst things you can do to yourself because it says to yourself, I'm not in control of my life. I'm not 100% in charge of my destiny. That is something outside of myself that is in charge. And that something has taken over. Now, this will definitely affect the way you take risk. And as entrepreneurs, we have to take risk. And when you go in the world, you want to have a great life with prosperity and success. And literally, you can never allow yourself to think or be a victim. The next thing we're going to talk about, which is a big self-defeating mindset, is the concept of worry. The truth is, when you worry, you're stealing your own time, your creativity, your money, your peace of mind. Worry is without doubt the most useless emotion there is because for most people, there's not a day that goes by that they aren't worried about something. We've been taught in our society and culture to worry. That's a word that is used continuously by everybody. We worry about our future, how to get everything done, about the state of the world, the future, what is it going to hold for us? We worry about literally hundreds of things that we have no control over whatsoever, but it seems like the natural thing to do. So ask yourself right now about the entire worry thing. Is it really natural? Or is it something that you have been conditioned to do by society? So your job is to develop a stronger mindset. Let's get thicker skins here, folks. Worry does not equal finding solutions. Yes, it's giving you something to do, but there's nothing happening there but weakening you. Your brain doesn't have enough information to actually, are you ready? Worry accurately. You're making it up. Your worrying is 100% worse than reality usually will ever be. If you have these unhealthy emotions of imaginary fears or worry, your body is going to respond with feeling tense and nervous. You can create stress-related illnesses. You'll definitely have a lot of fatigue. You'll have a lack of energy and a lack of creativity and no bandwidth whatsoever to do new things. So I'm sure you've heard the old saying, the fearful die 1,000 deaths and only the brave only one. So here it is. When you live under fear of what might happen, You're so physically exhausted that you're unable to be creative and cope with the normal challenges and emergencies that could happen. A better long-term success strategy is to make a vow to yourself that you will look for solutions to the problems and not be a victim by worrying about the problem, which, by the way, always makes the problem worse due to the lack of attention towards the solution. Take your power back. You have to stay in the present, in the now. Deal with the reality. You're not a victim of circumstances. Circumstances change every 5 minutes. You make your own internal environment. You are the creator of your life by your thoughts and your actions. Your subconscious mind will always produce whatever you ask for. It's just like a computer. It doesn't care what you put in it. It simply responds to the information that you have put in there. So you do not have to let worry control you if you become aware of it. Samuel Johnson, an author, had a great quote. I have it up on my bathroom mirror. He said, "The foundation of content must spring up in the mind, and he who has so little knowledge of human nature as to seek happiness by changing anything but his own disposition will waste his life in fruitless effort and multiply the grief he proposes to remove." Now, the next time you catch yourself worrying about something, write what you're worried out. Write it out and ask your brain to start looking for workable solutions and be proactive. Now, what if you have no power in this so-called worrisome situation? Let's take, say, world peace, or what the weather is going to be like, or if your plane is going to be on time. So let me throw out this thought to you. A lot of things we're worried about, since we have no control over, and there are forces in the world of good that are much bigger than we are, that will take care of those things. Our job every day is to do the things we have control of every day and to the best of our ability. That's our true, real job of life. So don't let worry overtake you, because worry, to be honest, has never solved your challenges, but action is literally your key. So another way we get in our own way is I call random preoccupation. It's about nagging thoughts, and we all have them. They dominate our thoughts sometimes. They're like nagging us. I'll give you an example. If you have kids, you're at work, you're thinking about and feel paralyzed because you get a phone call from one of your kids and you feel guilty about being away from them, or you're not a good parent because you're working so many hours. Then you go home, and while you're with the family, you begin to feel guilty and worried about the work left unfinished. Now, think about this. Can you see where this is random preoccupation? It's a bad habit. It robs you of being in the present and dealing with where you are right now. So you can relate to this scenario. It might not be about kids. It could be about your pets, your aging parents. We have those scenarios. But the truth is, when you have these nagging thoughts and you let them take you over, it's a way of getting in your way of sucking the vitality out of your life. You're losing no matter where you are. So you got to use your creative and productive energy in a more productive way. Focus where you are at that time. If you're with your kids, be with your kids. If you're at work, be at work. And remember that this kind of self-defeating negative thoughts will result in feeling inadequate, frustrated, and angry. Create a situation where you have created a situation where you aren't living in the present moment. And the past is a locked door. You may want to go back in and blame the past, but it's a locked door. And this is just another way to beat yourself up and never win. And let's face it, when you do this, you're being a victim. And you can't change the past. The past has written itself. It is what it is. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't make any difference. It is what it is. Accept the past, learn from it, but stay in the now, because your point of power in this lifetime is right now. And it's time for you to take that power and be aware of life. Okay, so let's look at the flip side of this coin of self-defeating bad habits. Now, some of us as entrepreneurs live too much in the future. I am very clear that entrepreneurs tend to live in the future than the now. We are wired to see the future. We are wired to capitalize on it. But if you're always staying in the future, you're missing what's going on right now in your life. You're missing the opportunities. So a strategy that works really well with a lot of entrepreneurs, but not so well with, say, average people, is to divide your life into compartments. So when you're at work, leave your personal worries at home. I can promise you, they'll be there when you get back. One of the greatest advantages of leaving your personal problems at home is that it will allow you to focus your attention on work. You'll be more productive and have a lot less stress. Another upside of leaving your personal problems at home is that your mind will get that well-deserved rest from those problems. You see, some people hold on to their problems to the point that they lose sight of everything else in life. You see, when you stop actively thinking about your problems, your subconscious mind will take that opportunity to search through its many files of your past experiences to look for workable solutions. Your intuition will kick in. You'll have a flash or a memory. You'll think of someone who could help you with it. Unfortunately, the more you worry and fret over your problems, the more unresourceful you become. You'll get stuck with the same old mindset that you cannot see potential opportunities that exist for solving your problems. And this simple act of letting your problems go for a few hours will improve your chances for coming up with really good workable solutions. And the same is true for any type of personal and business problems. You need to give your brain the opportunity to filter and digest the problem in the situation. And you need to give your brain the opportunity to give you more options. Don't react too quickly. Don't react. So I like the 24-hour or the 48-hour, what I call timeout space-time. By doing that, I can refocus on the problem. I'll analyze it from a different perspective, and the brand new viewpoint will allow you to have this new strategy to use versus when you just react, you haven't given your brain really the opportunity to search through the hundreds of thousands of files that you've collected in your lifetime on solutions. So it's very, very important that you give yourself time. So another problem we have to have is to let our personal life be separate from our work life. And I know from my own experience that this has been a challenge because my office was in my home for many, many years. I had a hard time creating boundaries with my personal life and my business life. But I'm going to ask all of us to have the discipline to create boundaries that will benefit your well-being, your relationships, and this does take some serious personal discipline to honor yourself. So to create a new life habit, give yourself a specific time each day that you're going to stop thinking about work. That may mean you have to leave your office or home by a certain time, and at a certain time each night you will not talk about work anymore, particularly to your loved ones. You will stop worrying about it. You call a creative halt to this problem. You just stop thinking. You will honor your time commitments and give yourself that downtime. So let's face it, you're not paying yourself, or someone else is not paying you enough to sacrifice your short life. And trust me, folks, life is short, and it's going at the speed of light. And if for you to always be preoccupied about work, 14 hours a day, you're not going to enjoy your life. What is the point of all this work? So the next challenge we want to talk about that I think all business owners definitely struggle with and they get in their own way with is indecisiveness. So think about it. The truth is, no decision is a decision. It's a decision of default. It's allowing circumstances of your life to dictate your direction. It is said that the lack of decision leads to the list of major reasons we fail in life. Remember, your brain is a computer. It needs very clear, specific directions to be always giving you options and solutions. If you don't guide your brain with what you're expecting, it cannot give you useful information. So when you're faced with the task of making an important decision, first and foremost, get clarity about what your problem is by writing it on paper. List the pros and the cons. List this out. It will help you be a lot more crystal clear on which column holds the strongest evidence to act on. I love to do this because it's a way of analyzing to organize your feelings and priorities, to arrive at logical decisions. I also believe you should tie in your wisdom, your intuition. Look into the future with your mind. Ask yourself the important question. What's the worst thing that could happen because of my decision? It's extremely important not to let indecisiveness hold you back from reaching goals. Sometimes just make a decision, go with it, and if it doesn't work out, you can change your decision. When you weigh all of the possibilities before you proceed with your decision, it's going to be easier to go forth. The reason you want to always look at the possible downside is because if you can't live with this possibility, maybe you shouldn't risk it. Whenever you're making an important decision, I always believe you have to listen to your gut, that intuition, that instinct, that feeling about the decision. See, when things feel off or wrong, you want to hold off making that decision to honor that sixth sense. Give yourself time to do more research. If the decision feels wrong, analyze your options of holding on to that decision. You see, more often than not, you've got little to lose by giving yourself a little bit more time, which could save you in the long run. So if it feels right and your left brain is comfortable with the decision, take the action. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is while we're making decisions or while we're about to launch something, a lot of people are waiting for the perfect economy, the perfect time. They're waiting for this perfect situation to happen so they can pull the trigger. It is my experience that rarely happens. Occasionally it does, but for the most part, it doesn't. You just have to make your own destiny. And yes, there will be challenging times ahead. That is what life is about. Dealing with challenging times and overcoming them and gaining the confidence to know what you can handle, that you can literally handle anything that comes your way if you act intelligently. The next self-defeating behavior that we have that we want to address is what I call idea addiction. We often call these shiny objects, meaning that in our race of life, we keep changing horses before we get to the finish line. Entrepreneurs and small business owners are particularly susceptible to shiny objects and idea addiction. We go to events and we'll be presented to new shiny objects, and we are very creative. So in our mind, we're saying, oh, I could do that. The problem is that it's only good until you have another idea. If you keep changing, you never get traction in life. You never get accumulated energy and momentum because you're actually changing lanes, changing directions, changing careers, changing brands, changing focus. Now, I know in the beginning of our life when we're really young, we experiment and change. I've had many careers in my life. I consider each one of them extremely important to lead me to the person I am today. However, today or any day, if I go in the office and say to everybody, we're going to change our focus today and we're going to do this. And then tomorrow I walk in the office and I tell myself, okay, forget that. We're going to do something totally different. So everything they did in the past got thrown out or forgotten. Time, money, resources wasted due to the fact that we don't have a clear plan of action. We're not committed to following through. I'm sure you can see the challenge here. You need to ask yourself, where are you changing lanes so often that you're not getting traction in life? If things get a little rough, you keep thinking the grass is greener somewhere else. Someone else is doing something easier or better than you. I have found that the grass is never greener anywhere else. It just looks greener from that perspective. Now, so before continuing to change lanes and losing tractions where you're going, remember this, that it's one of the things in life where when you're indecisive about your direction and you have not created enough clarity on why you are doing what you are doing, and a very detailed plan of action. If you don't have that detailed plan of action, the slightest new shiny object will blow you off course. You'll go into another direction. You'll be one of those people who never ends up winning at the finish line. You'll be what we call in the horse racing industry an also ran, meaning you ran the race, but you didn't come into the money, you didn't make it big, you didn't win, because your attention, your time were squandered with a new idea. Everybody has ideas. There's a million good ideas in life, but you've got to analyze what to do with your talents and abilities and natural skills, your resources at that moment. And probably for some of those ideas to be long-term ideas in the future, not such a good idea. Again, we're all addicted to ideas. I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other. And of course, those are those people that don't know what they want to be when they grow up. And it's a dangerous place to be because you keep trying new things, but never sticking to them, never getting momentum. And you'll never create a real business or have serious wealth like this. So it's time to make a commitment to a direction in life, a serious plan of action, and to that commitment. And that doesn't mean that you don't add on things, that you embrace things, but you've got to know your core focus. You've got to have clarity about that. For example, everything I do in my business connects with each other. I'm a speaker, a coach, an author. I work on television. My life is about communications. It's all about helping people. It's about being of service. And what I teach is about mindset and attitude and productivity, and it all marries together. So I can do a lot of things with the same core direction. And a lot of people, want to offer you directions that serve their needs. They're offering you things because it serves them. So you have to be a little selfish and self-centered and single-minded. You have to not let the lure of greed entice you into areas that you're not an expert in, you don't want or have the time to be an expert in, or you don't want to allow yourself to get off your main focus. Your long-term focus needs to be first true to yourself. Be willing to say no to those directions that you're not naturally talented in, that you're not willing to learn about, and you're not really deeply interested in, but that the easy money and the greed enticement has has lured you into that path. This is a super important message that most people forget, and that's why they don't stay on course or reap the rewards of their knowledge and efforts in their business. Now, of course, there's going to be exceptions, but please view these things with a very critical eye before dropping the ball on a successful business and doing something that is not in your wheelhouse by taking your eye off the business that you have already built. Quickly, we're just going to talk about vanity, and we want to get on touch with this very self-defeating behavior. We do get in our own way. So frame this from the business sense. In a sense, and oftentimes, because we have been successful in the past, we feel we shouldn't have to take the time to do our due diligence on the new things to learn or to go back to the beginning. Life is always changing at a very fast pace, technology particularly. I watch people who have been very successful feel they are above going to listen to someone else or reading a book or going back to the beginning and taking a class on something, or particularly in technology. Their vanity, their ego holds them back. Now, we all have vanity, and I can see in my own life where vanity held me back for being open-minded to new things to expand my business. So ask yourself, where is your pride? Where is your vanity? You can have some very unconscious self-defeating programs in your brain that nix your opportunities to be successful. So the next thing that you want to really think about is being a lifetime learner. It is the most powerful thing you can be. I want you to be curious, open-minded, and excited about new knowledge. And instead of resenting it because it means you have to learn something new, be open-minded. Now, I'll share with you that this year I've decided to become more proactive because I realized that I was unhappy in my own business because I couldn't poke around in the QuickBooks section and see what was happening. I had to wait for the bookkeeper to come in to give me information. So I'm learning more about bookkeeping and accounting and basically money in my own business. Now, it's a little out of my comfort zone because I think of myself as a creative, but I'm taking time to read books like The Courage to be Profitable by Ruth Ken. And the subtitle of that book is How to Get and Stay Profitable in Less Than 30 Minutes a Month. So it's very important to learn new things and keep current and not be a slave to others in your office. And I'd like to give you a quote by the famous Earl Nightingale. His famous saying about success was to look around at the majority and see what they are doing, and then just do the opposite. Because the majority is setting themselves up for failure. All too often, you may very well be falling victim to negative ways of thinking or letting others, including your own team and customers around you, get in yours and their own way of success. I know it sounds kind of silly, yet it's very simple. Success is actually doing the opposite of things that don't work and having the discipline, desire, and be able to deserve a new level to reach the goals that you want. So I hope this has inspired you a little. I'm going to go take a take two here. I know it sounds silly, and yet it is really very simple. Success is doing the opposite of the things that don't work and having the discipline, desire, and deserve level to see it through again and again to reach your own goals. Hey folks, I want to remind each and every one of you to go to the membership site. You can get the transcripts and you can get the reports and other goodies. And we have faculty members there. And remember, after this month, they're gone. So folks, your life is what you make it. Your point of power is always this moment of time. This is Lee Milteer wishing you a fabulous month. I'll talk to you next month. Have a great one.